On February 9, 2004, a young woman crashed her car on a desolate road in rural New Hampshire. A school bus driver stopped and asked if she needed help. She said no. She said she had already called AAA. She had not. When police arrived 13 minutes later, the car was still there. The airbags had deployed. There was a strong smell of alcohol. There was a rag stuffed in the tailpipe. But Maura Murray was gone. And in over 22 years, no one has ever seen her again. This is one of the most analyzed, most debated, and most heartbreaking missing persons cases in American history. And today, we are going through every piece of it. Maura Murray was 21 years old. She was a nursing student at the University of Massachusetts Amherst. She was a runner, a serious one. She had been a standout on the track team at West Point before transferring to UMass. By all accounts, she was bright, athletic, and well-liked. But in the days before she vanished, things were clearly not right. On the night of February 5th, 4 days before the crash, Maura was working her shift at a campus security desk when she received a phone call. Her supervisor later said that after the call, Maura became visibly upset, almost catatonic. She had to be walked back to her dorm room. To this day, no one has publicly confirmed what that phone call was about. The next day, Saturday, February 7th, Maura was involved in a single-car accident. She was driving her father's new Toyota Corolla and crashed into a guardrail. The car sustained significant damage. No injuries. A police report was filed, and her father, Fred Murray, came to Amherst the next day to deal with the car and have dinner with Maura. He later said she seemed fine. Maybe a little stressed, but nothing alarming. Then on Monday, February 9th, Maura did a series of things that investigators have been picking apart ever since. She emailed her professors and her employer, telling them she would be away for a week due to a death in the family. There had been no death in the family. She searched MapQuest for directions to the Berkshires and to Burlington, Vermont. She packed her belongings, clothes, toiletries, her homework, her stuffed animal. She made a call to a condominium rental company in Bartlett, New Hampshire. She stopped at a liquor store and bought about $40 worth of alcohol, Bailey's, Kahlua, and a box of Franzia wine. And then she got in her black 1996 Saturn and started driving north. At approximately 7:27 p.m., a local resident named Faith Westman called 911 to report a car that had gone off the road at a sharp curve on Route 112 in Haverhill, New Hampshire. This stretch of road was notoriously dangerous. Locals called it the Weathered Barn Corner. Butch Atwood, a school bus driver who lived nearby, was on his way home when he came across the accident. The Saturn had hit a tree. The windshield was cracked. The airbags had deployed. Maura was standing by the car. Atwood asked if she wanted him to call police or an ambulance. According to his account, Maura told him no. She had called AAA. Phone records later showed she had not made any such call. In fact, there was no cell service in that area at all. Atwood went home, which was only a few hundred yards away, and called 911 anyway. He then watched the accident scene from his bus while waiting for police. Haverhill police officer Cecil Smith arrived at approximately 7:46 p.m., 19 minutes after the initial 911 call, 13 minutes after Atwood's call. The car was locked. Maura was not there. Her personal belongings were still inside. Her cell phone, her debit card, her homework. The alcohol had been packed into a box and was in the car. There was a strong smell of alcohol in the vehicle. A rag had been stuffed into the tailpipe, a widely known old trick that some people believed could prevent a car from stalling, though it does not actually work. A search dog was brought to the scene the next day. It tracked Maura's scent about 100 feet east of the crash site, into the middle of the road. And then the trail went cold, as if she had gotten into another vehicle. The initial investigation has been criticized heavily over the years. Police did not issue a statewide alert for Maura until 2 days after the crash. They did not treat the area as a potential crime scene. The assumption at first was that Maura had simply walked away from a drunk driving accident to avoid a DUI. Her family did not accept that. Her father, Fred Murray, has spent over 2 decades fighting to keep this case in the public eye. He has clashed with law enforcement, hired private investigators, and given hundreds of interviews. Maura's boyfriend at the time, Bill Rausch, was at Fort Sill in Oklahoma on the night she disappeared. He called her repeatedly that evening. His alibi has been verified, though he later became a person of interest for other reasons. In subsequent years, Rausch faced unrelated criminal charges involving other women. The last person confirmed to have seen Maura alive was Butch Atwood. He passed a polygraph test. He passed away in 2015 without ever changing his account. Before we get into the theories, and there are a lot of them, if this case is pulling you in the way it pulled me, subscribe to Cold Files. We cover one case every week, and I promise we go deeper than anyone else. All right, let us talk about what might have happened to Maura Murray. The simplest explanation. Maura had been drinking. She was disoriented. She did not want to face police because she had already been in a car accident just 2 days prior. She may have been driving impaired, and she was probably terrified of the legal consequences. So she walked into the woods to hide, and she never came out. New Hampshire in February is brutally cold. Temperatures that night were in the low teens. If Maura wandered even a short distance into the forest, hypothermia could have set in within hours. Her body could be out there right now, in some ravine or dense patch of wilderness that searchers simply never reached. The problem with this theory is the search dogs. The scent trail did not lead into the woods. It ended in the middle of the road. Multiple searches, including extensive ones in 2004 and cadaver dog searches in later years, turned up nothing. But the woods along Route 112 are vast, thousands of acres of nearly impenetrable forest. It is entirely possible that she is out there and simply has not been found. This is the theory that haunts most people who follow this case. The scent trail suggests Maura walked to the middle of the road and the trail ended there. If she got into a vehicle, willingly or unwillingly, that changes everything. If she flagged someone down for a ride, she could have been trying to get away from the area before police arrived. Maybe she got a ride and started a new life. Maybe the person who picked her up was not who they seemed. In the years since Maura's disappearance, investigators have looked hard at several local individuals. Route 112 is not a busy road, but it is not completely deserted either. Someone could have driven by in that 13-minute window between Atwood going inside and Officer Smith arriving. Claude Moulton and his wife drove past the crash scene that night around 7:40 p.m. They saw the car but did not stop. They did not see Maura or anyone else walking along the road. That narrows the window even further. If someone did pick Maura up, and if that person meant her harm, then what we are looking at is a crime of opportunity, one of the most difficult kinds to solve. Some people believe Maura planned her disappearance, and honestly, there is circumstantial evidence for it. She packed her car with her belongings. She emailed her professors with a fake excuse. She withdrew money from her bank account. She looked up directions to places north of where she was. She did not tell anyone where she was going. The theory goes like this. Maura was running away. From school, from stress, from something. Maybe she planned to cross into Canada. The border was only a few hours away. Maybe she had help that nobody knows about. The biggest argument against this theory is that Maura has never been found. No credit card activity, no social media presence, no confirmed sightings in over 22 years. Disappearing completely in the modern world is extraordinarily difficult. Not impossible, but difficult. Her family does not believe she ran away. Her father has said repeatedly that Maura would not have abandoned her family voluntarily. Over the years, several names have circulated in connection with this case. I want to be careful here because no one has been charged, and accusations can ruin lives. What I can say is this. In 2016, a New Hampshire man was convicted of kidnapping a woman in the same general area where Maura disappeared. That case raised questions about whether there was a predator operating along these rural routes during that time period. In 2019 and 2020, New Hampshire authorities conducted new searches in the area, including excavation at a specific property. They did not find Maura, but they stated the case was still actively being investigated as a criminal matter. Her father, Fred, has publicly stated that he believes his daughter was the victim of foul play. He believes she was taken by someone, and he believes law enforcement knows more than they have released publicly. The The New Hampshire Attorney General's office has classified certain elements of this case as part of an ongoing criminal investigation. That is a significant designation. It means they are not treating this as a simple missing persons case. One lesser-known theory involves the possibility that Maura was not alone on the road that night. Some researchers have suggested there may have been a tandem driver, a second vehicle traveling with Maura that has never been identified. If someone was following her or traveling with her, that person could have picked her up after the crash and driven away before anyone noticed. This would explain the scent trail ending in the road. This would explain how she vanished so quickly and completely. There is no hard evidence for this theory, but there is no hard evidence against it either. And in a case with this many unknowns, every possibility has to stay on the table. It has been over 22 years. Maura Murray would be 43 years old today. Her family has never stopped searching. The online community that has formed around this case is one of the largest and most dedicated of any missing persons case in history. There are podcasts, documentaries, books, and thousands of people who have never met Maura Murray, but who refuse to let her be forgotten. What happened in those 13 minutes? Where did she go? Is she still out there somewhere, alive, living a life no one knows about? Or did something terrible happen on that dark stretch of Route 112 that we may never fully understand? I have spent weeks on this case, and I genuinely do not know the answer. I do not think anyone does. Not yet. So I want to hear from you. What theory do you lean toward and why? Have you come across any detail in this case that most people overlook? Put it in the comments. The discussions on these videos are incredible, and I know some of you know this case better than most investigators do. If you want to help, Maura's case remains open. The tip line for the New Hampshire Cold Case Unit is available online. Thank you for watching. I will see you next week.